Peace. It's Brother Faheem, and you are now tuned in to the Lead with Logic podcast. You know the vibes. Peace. What's going on? This is Brother Lee. This is Brother Faheem. Man, just checking in. I'm your gracious and humble host. Welcome to another episode of the Lead with Logic podcast. Listen, man, life moves at such a fast pace. I try to keep my boots laced so that I can always be in the race, right? I can be in a winning posture and space. Man, what a beautiful Monday it is. February the 3rd. This is the commencement and the start of 2025. It's Black History Month. For most of us, well, for some of us, it's Black History Month every day. It's Black History Year. But man, thankful that we made it to see another one. So yeah, it's a lot going on in the world, man. It's been so much. Try to discuss a little bit of it. Listen, if you in the comments, say what up, say what's going on. I appreciate you coming. Let me get some people out, get some people in here. Give me a sec. Let me get the people in here. Welcome, wherever you are. Welcome. Peace. Wherever you are. Make sure that wherever you are, if you're watching this if you're watching it live with me right now, if you're watching it on Facebook, if you're watching it on YouTube, hey, if you're watching on Facebook, post it to your page. If you're watching on YouTube, send the link out and send the link out to 20 people that you know, so we can all grow together. We're just gonna have a nice little discussion, man. We'll have a nice little discussion. I am getting the word out. Trying to get the word out, let people know what it is and what's going on. I'm trying to get the word out. Yeah, man. Another thing, I put this out there as well. I think I might go through there. I might go to my page, but man, Lead with Logic, the number 7.com. Lead with Logic, the number 7.com. Make sure y'all get over there. Like I said, we got tees, we got hoodies. Yeah, man, we got it all. Hats, everything. We're trying to get it going. This is a different one, right? This is the peach for all my Georgians. The peach Lead with Logic. Lead with Logic hoodie with the peach on there. For those people in the great peach state. All my people in the great peach state. Yes, sir. Yeah. Man, I'm just sending some stuff out to the people. Getting a link out to the people, man. Trying to get the people aware. Let them know what I'm doing. Another bill, man. Another bill. Yeah. Please share it out. Share it out. If you're on Facebook, if you're on YouTube, if you're watching wherever you viewing from. Wherever you paying attention from, wherever you watching from. Peace, peace. I see two people. Okay, we got some people in the house. Yeah. Hey, let it be known who you are and you in the comments. Let me know. Let me know. Let me know. Yes, yes. Let me know. Say what up in the comments. Let me know. Let me know you were here and you supporting. Yeah, I am just doing some housekeeping, some maintenance. We're gonna get started here in 1 second. We're gonna get started in a second. Just doing a little maintenance. Letting the people know. I let them know ahead of time, but I let them know at the same time as well because hey, you want people to come through, right? Let them know if you build it, they will come. So what's going on? A ski of the great. Salute, bruh. Salute, salute, salute. I'm just trying to get some people in here. I'm trying to get some people in here to check it out, man. Trying to get some people in here. Hopefully, I gotta give you a shout. Yeah, I gotta give you a shout, man. We got a conversation. We got a conversation coming. We have a conversation. Yeah, man. I am going to. I'm just letting the good people know where I am and what I'm doing. There's two people. That's what's up, man. That's peace. That's peace, peace. I appreciate it, man. I appreciate just one person come through and listen. Yeah, man. Okay. All right. Peace, peace. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome, man. Welcome. I appreciate y'all. Listen, welcome. It's all right, it's 10 after. I think I'm gonna get started. Welcome. I'm brother Faheem, and I am your gracious host, Believe with Logic Podcast. Hey man, look, I want y'all, if y'all haven't already, if y'all weren't here when I said it before, going over to leadwithlogic7.com. Leadwithlogic7.com. We have hats, hoodies, tees, all of that good stuff, right? This is one of my exclusive hoodies for my people in Georgia. It's that Lead with Logic with the peach overlay, right? And one of my hats. Lead with Logic hat. Go get with the, you see it right there, right here. Get with the brand. It's the brand saying in the logo, right? That acronym stands for letting enlightenment and divinity win in this harsh level of God's infinite creation. That's what we doing, man. So yeah, but I love it. That lead with Logic. Y'all got it twice already, right? You got it here, got it here. So this is my favorite month, man. This is my favorite month of the year, February, right? And things take on new meanings as we get older. I can remember being a kid in February. What does February denote? It means it's number one, it's the shortest month of the year. But in school, it was the Black History Month. It's the Black History Month for the mainstream. So that means that people are going to be highlighting or celebrating Black History Month. That means the accomplishments, the achievements of those stellar and excellent Black individuals throughout America's history. That's what typically the commercial Black History Month means and what it meant. When I was a kid, what it meant was we talked about Dr. Martin Luther King. We talked about Jackie Robinson. We talked about Rosa Parks not wanting to get up. And then we talked about this dude who who didn't want to who hated people. He was a hate monger, right? We talked about this guy right here. Talked about Minister Malcolm uh, quite a bit, but we always talked about him in juxtaposed to Minister Martin Luther King Jr. But nonetheless, as I got older and I grew up and went to undergrad and I really began to study, I was like, wow, man. Uh, ooh, we kind of didn't learn a whole lot. We didn't, well, we learned, but we didn't learn the full breadth. It wasn't nowhere near as comprehensive as it could have been, right? Things were left out. Uh, things were not emphasized. And most of all, things were taken out of context. Yeah, things were taken out of context a lot of times. And that's really what was super duper disheartening to me. But then the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, if a man don't treat you right, he ain't gonna teach you right. Right? If a man don't treat you right, he ain't gonna teach you right. Or a woman. So how can we expect to now be taught the history and the knowledge of ourselves if we're not treated as who we are, as the gods and the earths and the kings and queens and the chiefs uh, that we are, right? So, but yeah, Black History Month. A little history about Black History Month. Carter G. Woodson created Black History Day. It started off as a day just to reflect on all of the accomplishments, right? All the accomplishments that were to happen throughout the year. It started off as a date. Then it went on to be a week, right? Black History Week. And then eventually it turned into a month. And the intention, remember now, the intention of Black History Day initially was to reflect on all of the accomplishments, everything that we had done throughout the whole year, right? So it was like a culmination. We would now get together and say, look at what we've accomplished. That's one thing I love about Kwanzaa is that Kwanzaa is a celebration. It's not spiritual at all. It's based in African principles, right? Kiswahili, and it is really a culmination. It's something that forces the family, the Black family, or any family who's engaged in Kwanzaa. It forces you now to reflect on these seven principles and how you've engaged and implemented these principles throughout the year. That's more pragmatic. That's more practical. That's something that we don't see commercially. Commercially, right? When we have holidays or commemorations or whatever, it's typically singular, right? It's right there. It's then. It's that month. It's that day. It's that weekend. Boom. Whatever. July the 4th, Christmas, Thanksgiving Day, Christmas Day, Halloween. These are all days where we celebrate something, right? The United States, the American people celebrate something. We don't have a whole lot where we can say, you know what? Let's commemorate something in a cipher, in a circle that's ever going. Black History Month should be ever going, you guys. And honestly, it really should be something that is taught every single day. I don't have it down here. Forgive me. Uh, something that should be taught every single day. It's a book called Blacks Before America, and it deals with Hannibal going into Carthage. It deals with Imhotep, Akhenaten. These were the fathers of medicine. These were the first uh, monotheists, right? These were different kings. These were different gods. I also have that book up there with Black God, where it deals with the different gods from Africa, from India, from Asia, right? Because Africa is our throne, it's not our home. I'm gonna say that again. Africa is our throne, it's not our home. What do you mean by that, brother Faheem? What I mean is Africa is a place where we sat on the throne. We were the highest concentrated there. But I say that to say this: we're all over. The original man is all over the world. And if you watch Hidden Colors or any of these contemporary documentaries, if you read any contemporary science, you'll see where melanated people were all over the planet. Right, the first Chinese. I think what I've been hearing recently, the first Chinese man was absolutely melanated, right, or African. And I use the word African very loosely because at one point the world was called Asia, right? Ethiop, Kemet, right? Africa is something that is rather modern, but nonetheless, it was one of the uh, it's the place where we are the highest concentration, and then you have Brazil, places like that. But my point is, we're all over the place. But but we typically read that book because what I understand is when you go to public school, you have to know that you're going to get a brand of training. You're not really going to get truly educated. True education starts when you get home. True education starts with the family. I do like the Japanese model. I do like the Jewish model. I love how they galvanize their children and they take them and they teach them their culture outside of whatever school that they're in. So they get an exclusive uh, curriculum that helps enhance them and it helps them to now uh, get a knowledge of self that's from the people just like them, right? Just like them that have a vested interest. That's another thing that's important when we talk about Black History Month, when we talk about celebrating and commemorating. Who are we learning it from, right? That's something. It's one thing for it to be out of context, but it's another thing for you to learn from people who have a vested interest in your well-being, who are from your culture. And if they're not from your culture, they're compassionate towards it. They're sensitive towards it and they don't have any biases. We see oftentimes in school, and this is just a metric that's out there. This is not anything biased or prejudiced. Most of the school teachers that we see are white women. That's just a fact. In America, it's just a fact. Well, we understand that people have intrinsic biases that they come with. And sometimes these biases can show up. And listen, that's not to say all people can't demonstrate biases, regardless of what hue they are, regardless of where they're from, right? It doesn't matter. However, dealing with the most densely populated demographic in the public school system, you have to say to yourself, what has been the history between that demographic and Black children? And when we do the research, when we look at the numbers, how people are learning, how kids are developing, right? If they're getting efficient and adequate skills to help them out in the real world, you have to say, I don't know how efficient this is. I can remember, and I think I spoke about this. I remember there was a study that I read in undergraduate where they did a case study where they took Native American children and I think it was like 75, we'll say it was like 75 kids, and they put the first 25, they kept them with the Native American people and they educated them there. The second group, they took them externally and took them with, outside of their culture, maybe with white people. And then they did a mixed bag. They did it where they mixed it up. And what they found was the group that stayed exclusively with with the Native American teacher within the culture, they advanced far, far farther than the other two groups because what they showed was cultural inclusivity, cultural nuance early on builds a better foundation for a stronger student, right? So basically, Kids need to learn about themselves by people who look like themselves in their foundational uh phase, right? Early on in education, because this will now esteem them. This will now give them a sense of stability, a sense of pride, right? It sounds cliche, but it will. And it will help them now because we understand that the world is not it's not one group, right? In America, it's very much diverse in all specters of life, whether it's the workforce, whether it's the educational system, just in a multitude of places. You see a lot of different types of people. And so you want children to be able to not only navigate through that, but you also want them not to lose self. And so what they found was a big part of that is people that look like themselves that are from within their culture teaching them. That is the best route. I say that to say this. We understand that homeschool is the best route in America, right? Not only because of curriculum, but also now because of safety issues, right? Uh, you know, these school shootings are happening more and more these days. More and more, we're starting to read about school shooting. Also, the people are now having sexual relationships with the children. Maybe they've always had them, but it's becoming a little bit more visible, right? With online, we see it online. We read about it. But homeschool kids are uh, they're typically pretty bright and intelligent, right? I know a lot of people when you think about homeschool, they always are. The concern is social life because they don't want the kids to be, when it comes to socializing or being in a social setting, they don't want them to be socially awkward. And putting them in homeschool can make them socially awkward. But I don't know in 2024, 2025, homeschool has a different face. It's not like it was when I remember when I was in the 80s, when I was a kid in the 80s, excuse me, we wondered about where the kids in the mountains went when we were driving, like, damn, where they go to school at? And my mom would be like, they homeschool probably, or they go to a school out here. But some of them do homeschool. And we thought, man, that must be hard. That must be a challenge. But now they have all kind of homeschool communities. They have all kind of homeschool curriculum. They have all of these things that you can do uh, to help your child be successful, right? If you have the time. I get it. People don't be having time. They have to work. They have to do everything, and they don't have time to sit with a kid and disseminate the work and all that good stuff. But I just say that because that's the best option because of like that in that study with us Native Americans, you'll see where you're teaching your child, you're giving your child cultural uh that cultural understanding, that comprehensive uh curriculum that you choose, that you pick. And then, it's you can do it whenever you get ready. You don't have to do it between 8 to 4:30 like most schools. You don't have to be on that schedule. You do 4 good hours of work and boom, there it is. Me, so natural. Yeah. Me, what's going on, sis? Hopefully you're doing well in school. I'm rooting for you on the sideline. Yeah, I'm rooting for you. I am rooting for you. I gotta holler at you too, because I think you got something coming up, maybe an event. But yeah, I appreciate you. Stick around. But yeah, so yeah, who's teaching these kids, right? I can remember all my black teachers, right, when I was coming up. Um, Dr. Booker, Miss Booker, Mr. Hall, Mr. Jenkins. Um, these were people that I never forgot, and I could identify with them. I appreciate that, Mimi. I can identify with them. They can understand, and that was good for a lot of us too, right? Getting black teachers because what would happen is we couldn't. Sometimes maybe we try to get over on other teachers. We couldn't get over on them, right? They knew how to deal with us in a way that was like, bro, don't play with me. I call your mom. I call your dad. Stop playing, fam. Let's not even do that. You don't want to play with me like that. And then we could talk to them as well. They would connect before they corrected. But yeah, so it's real important that you remember like who's teaching your kids right during Black History Month. Yeah, Mimi, Black History teachers, they didn't play like that. Not Black History, Black teachers, but it's very important who's teaching your child because that has to do a lot to do with how they open up, right? they don't feel disrespected. They don't feel slighted, right? They feel like they can be open, and this person understands because maybe they're from where I'm from, so they get it. But yeah, the context. Who's teaching your kid Black history? But so yeah, this is Black History Month. So that was the thing. Carter G. Woodson, he created it, and it started off as a day, then went to a week, and then it's a month. Um, connect before. That's right. You got to connect before you correct. That's it, Danny. I see you, Danny. I see you, the Oprah Winfrey of fan base. I got some heavy hitters up here. Y'all invite some people. Like I said, wherever you are, come on through. You know, if you're on Facebook, repost it. If you're on YouTube, send it out to 20 people. Lead with logic number7.com. Lead with logic number7.com. We got hoodies. This is my for my people in Georgia, that peach overlay. You see that? Yeah. And then the hats, lead with logic. 7, my favorite number, the God number. But yeah, so I just want to go over a few things. Um, I had heard something interesting. You know, it's been so politically tense. It's been so tense. I know you guys have been experiencing. It's been so tense, so tense with everything going on in the country with Trump and these executive orders, the immigration, the naturalization, being born here, all that stuff has taken a toll. And you know, somebody made a comment. They were like, "Yo, Trump is canceling Black History Month, Juneteenth." I want to say it was Luther Campbell. You know, Luther Campbell is big on X. He's big on X. X is becoming an outlet for a lot of people who are influencers, a lot of people who are recognizable. Yeah, I'm on there, and it's from time to time I go on there, and Charleston White has a room over there. He had been having a room. Tariq Nasheed is over there, and Luther Campbell, Uncle Luke, Miami Luke. And Luke is a diehard, he's a staunch Democrat. And so in a lot of his spaces, if you go in there talking about Republican, they probably gonna boo you and get you out of there. But he had posted something where he said, here y'all go, y'all did that. What do y'all think now? Because they canceling Black History Month. And I looked into it, they're not canceling it. He Trump, he signed something in spite of. And so I was like, where's he getting his info from? And what is he fact checking? But listen, I have, and if y'all have any questions, if y'all have anything related to the topic, just let me know. And I appreciate y'all saying what's up. Look, don't go nowhere because we got a whole bunch coming up. And I want to start by sharing this with y'all. I want to start by sharing this little article so we can see what it is we're dealing with, right? Most U.S. schools teach Black history, but few do it well. John Hopkins educational policy expert says poor materials and lack of rigor preclude schools from offering rich lessons on the African American experience. Pause. I'm going to tell y'all something. And I might have said this before, but I'm going to say it again. If you're a Black person, it's your duty and your job and your obligation to teach your children Black history 24/7, right? And we're going to get into the type of Black history, right? Because we understand when we go to school, there's a preset curriculum, there's a template that you might not have a whole bunch of say so in creating. And so it's easy to now have the same old same. Martin Luther King had a dream. Malcolm X didn't like white people. Rosa Parks, sat down. She got tired. You right? And that's all incorrect. All of that is incorrect. And it's without uh totality, it's without context. So it's bland for the children. How does this relate to us? How do we identify with this, right? I'm gonna go into that just in just a second, but I just want to read this real quick. So we're gonna skim through this. As the United States marks Black History Month, this is 2021. As the United States marks Black History Month this year, more K through 12 schools in the United States are teaching Black history than ever before. However, ongoing analysis from Johns Hopkins University finds these efforts often fail because coursework emphasizes the negative aspects of African American life while omitting important contributions made by people of color in literature, politics, theology, art, and medicine. And I would say spirituality. Let's not forget that. Let's not forget spirituality. I just mentioned Imhotep, Akhenaten. These were different figures, right? That we need to learn about. That children, the babies, the best part, they need to know about this stuff because we oftentimes become what we see. right? And if we see that we can be the best, the cream, then we will carry ourselves. We will work as though we can be the best in the cream, right? It almost reminds you of movies, of television. They give us the same prototypes: the buck, the mammy, the Jezebel, the thug, right? We're more than that, and we need to see it as a people. Our conscious, we need to see that. Welcome, welcome. Most school districts are trying, and many fall short, said Ashley Rogers Burner, director of the John Hopkins Institute for Education Policy. They may create better representations, but often forget quality and coherence in the process. They missed the chance to create a robust picture of the African American experience. My daughter came home today and she said, I said, "What y'all learn?" I'm always anxious to hear what it is that they're teaching them, what they're telling them, right? I said, "What did you learn about, baby?" She said, "Well, we learned about Michael Jackson." I said, "Okay." She said, "We talked about Michael Jackson. We talked about Sojourner Truth." And I said, "Well, what was Michael Jackson's contribution to Black history? What did he do?" I mean, I understand Thriller was the best selling album of all time, but what was his contribution? Like, how is he relevant? Now, my daughter's 8, right? But I said, what they saying? What was his contribution, baby? She said, "Oh, he just was an entertainer. That's all, you know." Jackie Robinson. She said it was a lot of entertainers. And I had to tell her, remember now, oftentimes entertainers, they do represent our people, right? The talent that we possess, absolutely. But a lot of times their efforts, a lot of times their assets go to people outside of our community. So it becomes now where it's not celebrating Black history, it's Black first. Beware of that too, right? You don't want to celebrate black first into the mainstream society. That's nothing celebration worthy. Not like that. I mean, it's good. We are gifted. We are genius. That's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. But now we have to now remember to celebrate those builders that erected our nation. People who were working, who did things to separate us so that we could erect ourselves independently, right? My homegirl, Kirsten, she has Fika Coffee. Y'all shout out to my girl, Kirsten, Fika Coffee. Y'all should check her out. I did a bill with her. She sells wonderful, wonderful coffee. Black owned business, sister. She she's a school teacher, right? She's a school teacher, and it's like, man, she was telling me some stuff about teaching, in the schools and the kids, and I was like, wow, this is crazy, and how uh the kids didn't the kids oftentimes, when they're teaching them things, at least about Black history, they're not going into things that the kids can relate with, right? They can really relate to. And it's like, whoa, that's crazy. That's real crazy. But yeah, you want to make sure that you are teaching about builders, right? And you're not just giving them the same rhetoric, because it sends a message now. Uh, you see what you become what you see. And if all we see are people whose efforts are now capitalized on and exploited by others, then what else is there, right? A lot of people we just totally look over. We totally look over. Berner and the Institute for Education Policy have developed rigorous and groundbreaking evaluations of curricula to determine, among other things, what students are actually learning in social studies and English language arts courses and what's being left out. Since 2018, the Institute has conducted several dozens of such evaluations in districts across the country. Work to ensure diversity in the classroom experience has clearly accelerated in the wake of the Black Lives Matter movement, Berner has found. So Black Lives Matter has invigorated it. It almost reminds me of the DEI, right? Last week I did the DEI bill, and the DEI bill was jump started when George Floyd. That's what really a lot of those businesses that are rolling them back now. A lot of those businesses were motivated and were incentivized, I should say, um I won't say incentivized. They were motivated. That's the proper term. They were motivated to now strengthen their DEI policies due to what happened with George Floyd, right? So it was a catalyst for it. Black History Month is designed to make sure that there's representation, and the ideal is to have these lessons woven into all of the histories that we study, not necessarily a separate history. That's Ashley Rogers Burner. And if you read that, that's problematic within itself. It's designed to make sure that there's representation. We need to teach our kids that representation ain't enough, and representation doesn't build a nation. Representation is good. If you tell, there's nothing wrong with being represented, because if you're doing a brain drain, right? If you're taking what you now learn in being represented and bringing it back to your community, that's beautiful. But we're so woven into the culture and the fabric, right? We should be learning about ourselves throughout the year. Benjamin Banneker designed Washington, D.C., the capital of the United States, right? It's a black man that created the stoplight, right? And I might go to it. I was looking on Instagram, and I saw where Hidden Valley Ranch was created by a brother. It started out as packets. Brother was working, and he had packets. He needed packets. He needed something to feed. I forgot where he worked at, but the people weren't eating. I think it was maybe like a railroad, and they weren't eating. And he created a cream, right? He created ranch, and he created this ranch. Him and his wife opened up this bed and breakfast, and they would serve the packets, and you put water in, it became dressing, right? And it just got Hill. It just got, excuse me, it got big. I'm thinking about it. Hill Valley, right? Hill Valley Ranch. It got big, and I didn't realize that we didn't have ranch dressing widely distributed until the 80s. Did y'all know that, right? And he sold it for like 80 million in the 80s. I can only imagine how much it's worth today, because any grocery store you go into, you're gonna see Hill Valley Ranch. Y'all, some of y'all got Hill Valley Ranch right now. Y'all might be eating it right now. Y'all got some in the refrigerator right now. Make sure to check the date. Make sure it's not spoiled. But that's an example of a brother who was building something. Oftentimes, that's another thing. Representation is one thing. To be equal is another. Being equal, I tell my children, we don't want to be equal to anybody, because we know we are gods and goddesses, and we gods and earth. So it don't, all that equal talk is out the window, right? We understand that we are the original people. We are the original man, the maker and the owner, right? The Asiatic black man, cream of the planet Earth, father of civilization, God of the universe, right? So everything in creation was created by us. We are mathematics. We are science, right? Chemistry, that came from Kemet, right? Algebra, that's another African, that's another melanated original mathematical discipline that we created. So we need to understand, especially in those areas where we see our little brothers and sisters might be struggling, they might be a little bit intimidated. They need to know, hey, I am mathematics, I am science. If you like hip hop, if you love the rap, that's all. When I write rhymes, when I write poems, those are bars. They come in different sequences of numbers, right? What is it? How many is it's like what? Uh 48 bars for a song, 16 bars per verse. That's one, and then you go to the hook. That's all math, right? That is mathematics. And so yeah, we need to not just we need to move past representation uh into excellence, black excellence and autonomy, right? But that's on you, black man and woman. You got to be the one to teach the child, right? It's nobody else's responsibility but yours. The United States is leading the international charge to prioritize inclusivity, and many democracies are following suit, revisiting their instructional approach to minority cultures to include the hard histories of colonialism and oppression. Yeah, what is that? They have uh, critical race theory, right? I remember a few years back when they start passing that at different states, people were pissed, right? People were like, we need it in there because the mainstream wanted it taken out. And it didn't matter to me either way. Either way, I mean, they don't teach about it, and this is what this is saying. It, the curriculum is piss poor anyway. The regular curriculum is piss poor as well, because it doesn't really include. It's not an accurate depiction of who we are as a people or even as a country, right? We're studying Canada, we're studying all of these European, Eurocentered nations, and we're skipping totally over good American, right? Black folks that's American. So yeah. Um, but at the same time, the U.S. lags significantly behind our peers in insisting upon high quality curriculum, Berner says. That's true of every subject and in every type of school. Look at that. In every subject. So you can't hide in the private school. You can't hide in the charter school. When it comes to teaching Black history, Berner says schools are missing an opportunity. Coursework often emphasizes negative aspects of African American life without noting the accomplishments, achievements, and contributions of Black Americans. Lessons typically cover slavery and the civil rights movement, but omit the Harlem Renaissance. There you go. Sociology of the Great Migration. There you go. And some of the most important novels of the 20th century, The Invisible Man, right? Uh, what's another novel? Their Eyes Were Watching God, right? Um, Ralph Ellison. Um, what's man? What's that? Man Child. I can't think. I can't think of it, but yeah, it's a lot of novels, man. It's a lot of good work that people can be reading. But yeah, I'll read this and I'm gonna move. Yeah, it says their eyes are watching God. There's a great unevenness in the actual quality of the text teachers are choosing in terms of accuracy, in terms of beauty, in terms of quality of writing, and in terms of the capacity of the text to evoke emotion to drive important conversations. Berner says the result can be strikingly superficial. So yeah, this was from John Hopkins University. This was a study done in 2021. It's called "Most U.S. Schools Teach Black History, but Few Do It Well." Yeah, you guys can check that out. But yeah, when you think about whose responsibility it is, brothers and sisters, to educate our children upon their history, it's up to you to get your children knowledge of self. Now, if you yourself don't have knowledge of self, I suggest you get it. I suggest you get it. When's the last time y'all been to a black bookstore? When is the last time y'all ordered a black book online? Right? These are things that will help. I read everything in my house. We read everything. Everything. We read it all. But first and foremost, we have to read about ourselves because it's from there that we can now go outward. We can now understand the world. Right? That's why the family is so foundational, brothers and sisters, because the family sets the stage for how the child now engages with the world. That's what makes the family so important. That's why it's the first unit, the first cell. If this is a body, the family is the first cell in the right in the body of the community of the nation. So yeah, you have to first now start with yourself. Start reading these books. This is a book that I got, Black Leaders of the 20th Century. Right? I didn't even know who all these people were when I had this book. These are people who are very instrumental to our history. Most of y'all can name us but two. That's Malcolm and Martin. That's Booker T, right? Mary Bethune, Trotter, Du Bois. I don't forgot a lot of their names. We know Garvey. We know Walter, Adam Clayton Powell, right? So yeah, Asa Philip Randolph. Yeah, so books like these, written by Black authors, and they highlight more than just what's taught in the mainstream, right? You'll get you'll get a deeper and more comprehensive understanding. You'll go past what's exploitable and what's usable, right? Because every black figure, every black legend, you figure that they use or they uphold now. Did you know that they at one point hated him? Martin Luther King, he's loved and beloved and uh, beholden in American culture now, but it was a time where he was on the list for being seditious. Him, Malcolm, uh, any of them that you can think of, any of them. Jesse Owens, right? Uh, 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 when he went over, he became a hero when he went over to Germany, right? But before that, it was racism. Jackie Robinson, they hated these people. They hate these individuals that they prop up, and they would only give us the history that benefits them, that feeds into the broader narrative, and not necessarily to the narrative that would esteem the people and move the people and push the people into being active. And when I say active, I don't mean just marching and protesting. I mean active in building your community, building up your nation, right? So yeah, yes, streaming on fan base, social audience. I appreciate that, Danny. I definitely appreciate that. I definitely appreciate that. So yeah, but yeah, most schools don't teach Black history uh, in the way that it should be taught. And my deduction is that until we get out there and teach it, it won't be taught in the way that it should be taught. You know, if it's good that, let me say this, and this was taught to me. When you read a book, the first thing you should read is the author's notes. Why? Because that's going to give you a premise. That's going to give you an understanding of the temperature of the book, right? Here's what I mean in real time. If Adolf Hitler were to write a book about the Jewish people, what would that look like? It would look much different than Anne Frank's book, right? If she were to describe her people, right? Perspective is going to be totally the more different, and it's going to make all the difference, right? It's no different when we're talking about Black history in the curriculum and who's teaching it, right? Right. It's the same concept. Hey, who's teaching it makes a difference. What they're trying to imply, what message they're trying to get across, and what information that they're giving. Right. I uh I said something earlier. I said that Dr. Martin Luther King, he had his dream. Right. That's what they teach. Uh, they teach that uh, Rosa Parks, she got tired and didn't want to give up her seat, right? And they teach Malcolm was a hate monger. That's the theme. And then they show a lot of, that's another thing. My daughter was like, they showing like LeBron James. They're showing all these entertainers. And it's important, it's very, very important that we let our people know these are not people to be celebrated. These are not people to be taught about during Black history. And I understand, like when you look at the gamut, right, you will see some Black history programs and they'll have a Jackie Robinson, they'll have a Muhammad Ali, which are two different individuals, right? Who did two different things. One was a first that broke in, the other was a first that broke out. He said, I'm not giving up my dignity. Y'all can have a belt, right? I'm standing true with my religion. That was Mr. Ali. That was the great Muhammad Ali. Um, but we don't have them like that anymore, taking stances like that. I think, and I said this, I think Kyrie Irving's the closest that we've seen to Muhammad Ali. That's just from my perspective. Some of you might agree, some of you might disagree, but he's the guy who I see that took up the Ali mantle. But all of these athletes, even if they do take a stance, oftentimes, again, a lot of their efforts, a lot of the entertainers, their money, their assets fall back into a community that does not really benefit ours outside of our community, right? When you hear about Prince, when you hear about Michael Jackson, a lot of their estates went back into the hands of the very people that they were trying to now keep it away from. That's important when you're talking about again building up a nation, because we need those assets, we need that money, we need those resources so that we can now build something solid, so we can build a power base. Power, what does that stand for? People organized working together for economic revolution. That's power. People organized working together for economic revolution. That's power. That's not mine. That's what the minister taught us that power was, right? Power is what we have to work for. And when we look at those people, oftentimes they're not going to tell you about people who are building for power. These children have no idea who Marcus Garvey was. These children have no idea who the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was, right? They don't. And these people were building for power. These were powerful individuals. Marcus Garvey had the UNIA, the Universal Negro Improvement Association. It had chapters all over the world. That was an international movement. I want to say it was the biggest movement that we have seen. It was the biggest black movement ever, even bigger than the Nation of Islam. Next, a strong second was the Nation of Islam, right? Honorable Elijah Muhammad, stores, planes, land. He was a businessman. He taught socioeconomics. It was deeper than just spirituality. And he told us, black man, you are God. Raise up, rise up, right? Everybody talks about Malcolm because Malcolm was he was a great orator, and that's wonderful. But they pass over the builder for the orator, and we can't do that because we have people who are gifted and talented, but we have to magnify oftentimes those people who are maybe not as gifted uh, verbally or when it comes to communication, but they are geniuses when it comes to business. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was absolutely that. Marcus Garvey was absolutely that. But I went back to them to say, just like the article said, a lot of it's not in context. When you look up the Highland School, I was taught about the Highland School for Activism. This is where Rosa Parks went. They're not going to teach this in school. This is where Rosa Parks went. That was planned. When you look up Claudette Colvin, she was the first one, right? She was a 15-year-old girl that got pregnant, but it was taboo. They didn't want to say, hey, this black girl, this young teenage mother, this black girl has had a baby, and she sat down. So the NAACP didn't move with that. They got somebody who was already working in the movement. Remember, Rosa Parks' husband was a high official in the NAACP. And so they went to the Highlander School and they were trained by Septima Clark. I think I talked about this before. Septima Clark. Look these names up. The Highlander School for Activism, Septima Clark. That was Rosa Parks' predecessor. So Rosa was trained to do what she did. That was a strategic effort. That was a concerted effort that a lot of people came together. It wasn't anything like she just was tired. No, they had a strategy for what they were doing. When you look at Martin Luther King in 19, I want to say 67, he went to Riverside and he totally changes. That's where he talks about materialism, um, militarism, and racism being what was going to kill or take America to hell. He was with poor. He was with. He had changed. He had went to economics. He had switched his whole entire rhetoric had changed. He was going in another direction. He was now beginning to go into a more economic direction. And the FBI said it. As long as they said it in the FBI files with Malcolm. As long as he sticks with the rhetoric that he has, this nonviolent, passive, aggressive, civil disobedience, he's a threat. He's not a threat. He's persona non grata. We don't even have to worry about him. We can slap him. We can spit on him. Nothing will happen. He's trying to appeal to our conscience. He's not really building power. He wants equality. He wants to eat with us. He wants to sit with us. He wants to be recognized by us. But as soon as he started talking about things that would now gain traction as far as economically and messing with the capitalist racist structure, he had to go. He had to go. But that's important for children to know because if they look at Dr. King, they don't get the accurate depiction of who he was. They get this milk toast, exploitable, half-ass photo of a man who really was a little bit more. He required more respect, and he required more investigation and more looking into than what the mainstream dominant society would give him. And obviously, with Malcolm, uh, him hating white people, Malcolm didn't hate anybody, right? Malcolm, he understood that historically, um, when you look at what devil is, there's a definition for that, right? And it's not complexion, it's not melanated, right? It's behavioral. It's a behavioral trait, and all you have to do is look in the history books, and you'll see who has been devil, who has been working devil, right? Anybody can be devil, actually, black, brown, purple, yellow, whoever. But generally, when you look at who has historically conducted themselves like devils, you go into the history books and you tell me. Yeah, you tell me. But these are things, right? These are things that aren't taken into consideration uh, when we deal with Black History Month, right? It gets to be running through the motions. It's a very uh, cliche, and I'm totally fine with it because mine, we over here learning about ourselves 24/7, 365, baby. You're gonna know who you are. And you're gonna, like I said, you're gonna know that. I want you to know that we did more. Like we don't even discuss, even when we talk about towns that were built. When we talk about towns that were built, um, I'm trying to look. People talk about Tulsa, Oklahoma. That's the big one. That's the one that everybody talks about. That's the one that everybody, that seems to be the most notorious, right? Black Wall Street. And if you're familiar with the Gap Band, I tell people this too. Little fun fact: the Gap Band, Greenwood, Archer, and Pine. Those were the blocks that the Black Wall Street sat on. They're from Tulsa, Oklahoma. Charlie Wilson and his brothers. So I gotta get up. But yeah, they talk about um, you know, Black Wall Street as if it was the only one. But man, it was so many towns. It was a lot of towns. And you have to ask yourself, like, how did they construct those towns? What were those people? Were they degreed people? Or did they have trades? Right? Were they Muslim? Were they Muslim? Were they Christian? Were they Hindu? Were they Wiccan? Were they Buddhist? What were they? Excuse me. What were they? Why am I asking that? Because whatever they were, they put all that stuff to the side and built up some power, right? They built up a town. And it wasn't just done once, it was replicated. And we're talking about at a time, you're talking about the lynching era when they were lynching black men, right? It is said when they would lynch black men, the NAACP in New York would hang a flag up and said a black man has been lynched. And so many black men were lynched during that period. So many were lynched during the 1900s, really from what, from the time the nadir happened. Let me explain the nadir real quick. Right after slavery ended in 1865, Reconstruction happened. What is Reconstruction? To reconstruct something is to put it back together and reform it. So the federal government reformed how they were going to engage the Negro, how they were going to engage black people. So that's when you see the Freedmen's Bank, right? You see these black towns start to come up. You see black people in Senate, right? You see the first Civil Rights Act, the first Civil Rights Act that was repealed by Plessy versus Ferguson in 1896, right? No black man has a right that a white man is bound to respect. So Reconstruction happened. And then something happens. Hayes and Ulysses Grant. Yeah, I know it was Grant. Was it Hayes? It was Grant. Grant and one of the I'm gonna look it up because I want to give y'all the accurate. I want to give you the accurate facts on what happened. Right? Uh Ulysses Grant witnessed a significant decline in civil rights for African Americans, often considered the nadir of race relations, which means the lowest point. Now, some people argue, how can the nadir be the lowest point when we were enslaved? That would be the lowest point, right? Where racist policies and violence against black people significantly increased despite Grant's effort to protect the rights. So, see, the federal government was protecting black people. But now, when Ulysses Grant, I think it was, I want to say it was Hayes, Rutherford B. Hayes, he came down. I'm looking at it now. He came down and said, listen, we need this. We need this election. What can we do? And the South said, well, if you remove your troops, we'll now get behind you. Done. We will remove the federal soldiers. We will remove it. And when they remove the federal soldiers, that's when it got to be the nadir because now you see a rise. You see the KKK. You see the lynching. You also see the Great Migration, right? You see the Great Migration happen where black people are now moving from the Southern Terror up into the North, where they can now get better economic uh, opportunities, and they can, send back for their family. They don't have to be under the thumb because it was rough. It was very rough at this time. But I'm trying to, I'm trying to, I'm trying to, I'm trying to see what it was, who it was. It's gonna irk me now. 1890 to 1920 was the nadir. 1890 to 1920 was the nadir. This is a rough period for black people. But now we were still able. It was terror. It was hard. It was very, very dark for us. But now we were still able to come together. We were still able to unite and build up some form of power, right? So at least we were able to come together and economically do something. We were able to put our money together. It is my perspective that we don't have that today, right? We don't have anything that we could come together upon, right? Like that. And we have technology, we have our freedom, right? We have a lot of advancements that our people back then didn't have, but they did so much with what they had. We're doing a lot. I'm not taking away from us. We're educated, we're homeowners, we're doing a lot of things, right? But we just don't have any power. We don't have any power at all. We have no power. None. And we could. We very well could, but it's going to take us getting together, right? Um so yeah, you know, Black Black Wall Street wasn't the first place where we built ourselves up. East St. Louis, Atlanta, Raleigh, North Carolina. It was so many different places. It was so many different places that we came together and did what we had to do, man. I'm still looking. I am still looking, y'all. I'm still looking. Damn, I knew who it was. I know it's Grant and somebody. But yeah, these are the types of things that aren't taught, right? You have to teach it. Yeah, you have to teach them. You have to teach the student. And you have to uh enlighten and educate yourself, right? You can't teach what you don't know, and you can't lead where you won't go, right? So you got to be able to go there with these young people. You got to be able to tell them, um, hey, this is what it was. It says Grant's role. While Grant initially supported Reconstruction efforts and used federal troops to protect black voters, his presidency also saw a rise in white supremacist violence in the South, which he often struggled to effectively combat due to political pressure. See, he made a he made a deal. He made a deal and he pulled them out. He pulled the federal troops out. And when he did that, it was a wrap. It was a wrap. It was a wrap for black folks. We were done. We were done. So yeah, that's gonna bother me. But yeah, so these are the type of things that we have to remember and we have to teach, right? We have to teach these things. We have to remember these things because if we teach the type of black history that the mainstream advocates for and that they push, it will only keep us under the thumb in the mentality of workers, uh, glorifying those people who entertain or those athletes who might have a social conscience, but they didn't necessarily do anything to build an autonomous nation. They didn't do anything to advance us. What did they build? What brick and mortar, right? What group did they elevate that was for the sole benefit of black people, for black people having something? Not. letting the resources and the money go out of the community. That's one thing I respect about Prince. Prince was stern on what did Jay-Z say, not letting the masters get his masters. That's a shrewd businessman because he understands that's how they control us through the wealth, through the resources, through the assets. You know, you won't be controlling me through that. You won't be able to do what you want with my music. Mm-mm. Nope. You gotta pay, buddy. Okay, I'm reloaded. You gotta pay. If you wanna get anything of mine, that's how we have to look at it. But yeah, Black History Month. Oh, I was saying how it was rumored that Black History Month uh was gonna be canceled. Donald Trump was gonna cancel. Let's see what he said. This is an article. Channel 4 News. This was today. I'm gonna show y'all real quick, real fast. what if my service ain't getting nervous? Oh no, is my service nervous? Here we go. Here we go. Okay. Well, let's do this. We having technical difficulties. Maybe we could sing like the Negro national anthem. Sing a song lifting. I know it's a couple of verses in there. We only always sing the first verse, but it's a few verses in there. You should get familiar with. Sing a song full of the faith that the okay. Trump signs Black History Proclamation despite rumors he planned to cancel it. I like it. It said despite rumors, right? Because he signed it. He signed it anyway. Oh, here we go. All right. This was Jessica A. Batelho, the National News Desk. This was Monday. This was today. Despite rumors and misinformation, President Donald Trump recognized February 2025 as National Black History Month. As White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt promised, Trump signed a proclamation on Friday to honor the annual observance. This is what Tariq Nasheed said on X. President Trump has formally recognized Black History Month and paid homage to Black American heroes. I told y'all the Democrats' scare tactics about Black History Month being canceled was all cap. They have been doing a whole bunch of fear mongering. People been running with it, but you know that's what look, listening, and observe is for, right? Doing the knowledge on these things, going looking up for yourself. Don't be scared, brothers and sisters. Don't get nervous. Just go to the books and look up what the truth is. The truth is seldom heard and uh, less seldom seen. You got to go and look for it. It has to be discovered. Like justice, you got to go seek it out, right? Every year, National Black History Month is an occasion to celebrate the contributions of so many Black American parties who have indelibly shaped our nation's history, the president noted in a news release. Throughout our history, Black Americans have been among our country's most consequential leaders, shaping the cultural and political destiny of our nation in profound ways, he added. American heroes such as Frederick Douglass, Harriet Tubman, Thomas Sowell, Justice Clarence Thomas, and countless others represent what is best in America and her citizens. Their achievements, which have monumentally advanced the tradition of equality under the law in our great country, continue to serve as an inspiration for all Americans. So, yeah, Trump also urged public officials, educators, librarians, as well as all Americans to observe February with appropriate programs, ceremonies, and activities. During a news briefing Friday afternoon, Levy clarified that Trump planned to ink the proclamation when she was questioned by a reporter. So, still, it sparked backlash for Trump, with the critics taking to social media to remind him he didn't create the observance. So, Donald Trump tried to cancel Black History Month, and now he's acting like he's the one bringing it back. How do you re-gift something that was already ours for decades? One person wrote on X. So, Donald Trump, oh, okay, I'm tripping. I was reading it first, as you were. Trump canceled Black History Month and Juneteenth celebrations, proving anti DEI means anti Black. That was a doctor. Mm. A third ex user called out Trump supporters as well as claimed Trump canceled Black History Month and a handful of other observances. Anyone still supporting Trump after he stopped remembrance of the Holocaust, celebrating Black History, Pride Month, Martin Luther King Jr., women's history, etc., and wiped out recognition of trans and queer citizens, you're racist and mentally defective sheet. Video of you unfollow you. Now pause. That's interesting. That's interesting. See that that's another reason I don't really fool with the Democrats, right? Uh or that way of thinking, right? I'm gonna zoom in on this so I can read this. I'm getting old, y'all, so I gotta eat more carrots. I'm gonna eat some when I get off the live. Anyone still supporting Trump after he stopped remembrance of the Holocaust, celebrating Black History, Pride Month, MLK Jr., women's history, etc., and wiped out recognition of trans and queer citizens? You're racist and mentally defective sheep. Video of you unfollow me. Very problematic statement. Very problematic statement. Why is it problematic, Faheem? Please stop equating all of these different objectives and all of these different entities and parties to Black History Month. Don't do that. It's not the same. Sorry, it's not. I'm not saying that these entities don't have their concerns and their complaints, but let's stop conflating it all in because it's really not the same. Nah, don't throw me in there and don't throw us in there. That's where I'm with Tariq Nasheed. Hold your own on that one. You don't have my support. Black History Month, that's one thing. All that other stuff, nah. Nope. Not equivalent. Sorry. Denied. Denied. Mm-mm. Not to me anyway. Yeah, that's where let's not do that. Let's not do it. Yeah, let's not add it all in because when it's time for support, I don't see all of those other groups. In fact, a lot of them other groups be talking shit. So yeah, keep that energy. Keep that shit talking energy. When we getting what when the government say, hey, we got this, remember y'all don't rock out with us. So get what y'all gonna get. Yeah, but that's what I don't really be liking. Yeah, don't nah. It don't mean nobody's racist and mentally defective sheep. It just means people know how to differentiate and they understand context and they understand what is really a valid uh what is something that has its own history, and we're not all the same. We don't all have the same degree of uh of influence. We haven't been through the same as long and it's hard. So nah, let's not go there. Yeah, I'm not. No, I'm not with that. Let's let Black History Month be its own thing. Everything else can you can figure it out. That's why I know. That's where I am on that. Um, Saturday marked the first day of Black History Month, which is a celebration of Black history, culture, and education. The history of the month dates back almost a century, and the way it's celebrated and evolved has created history in itself. Black History Month wasn't always a month-long celebration. In February 1926, historian and author Carter G. Woodson created Negro History Week. It was a week-long celebration in an effort to teach people about African American history and the contributions of Black people. That's what I was saying. But really, it was a day. It started as a day, y'all. The effort was made under the umbrella of an organization he founded in September 1915 called the ASALH, absolutely Association for Study of African American Life and History. I think black folks understood what they had contributed to America's historical narrative, but no one was talking about it, said K. Whitehead, the organization's president. No one was centralizing it until Dr. Carter G. Woodson was in 1926. He passed away in 50, member of the Omega Psi Phi, which Dr. Woodson was a member of, did a lot of groundwork to encourage celebrating the week. Eventually, in 76, Ford became the first president to issue a message recognizing the month. Um, I'll say this and I'm going to get off of this article. This National Black History Month, as America prepares to enter a historic golden age, I want to extend my tremendous gratitude to Black Americans for all they have done to bring us to this moment and for the many future contributions they will make as we advance into a future of limitless possibility under my administration, Trump said in the release. Absolutely. Yeah, man. I'm not one that conflates struggles like that. Yeah, I don't rock out like that. Cause if you I believe in supporting who supports me. Yeah. You support me, I'm gonna support you. If you don't support me, I ain't gonna support you. Period. Ain't no love lost. Ain't no love lost. Like what did Drake say? We the same over here on this side. It's the same over here on this side. What's going on, Free? I see you, bro. So yeah, man, I really just wanted to come on and talk about that. Give you guys a little science. Damn, damn, he only got 20% black male vote and 99% black woman. I would have told black folks to kiss my ass. Well, hey, what can you say, big brother? What can you say? I think he's a more shrewder operator. He's a more shrewd operator than that. Mr. Trump is. Yeah, I think he's a more shrewd operator. Yeah, and I'll say this again at closing out, man. Look, you know, Black History. We are black every day, and we should be educating our families, ourselves, and our children so that they understand who they are, so that they have knowledge of self, right? And regardless of what Trump said, what he planned to do, he signed it into law. And I would reiterate this for my brothers and sisters who are worried and weary uh, and upset. Read and study politics. Read how the Republicans function, how every Republican president has functioned, how every Democratic president has functioned. And I think you will find a very distinct pattern, right? When we start looking at those social platforms, those social policies, and those social incentives that have been pulled back, you're going to find that every Republican president has done the same thing, right? And you will find that with the Democrats, they put money into those social initiatives. So it's a back and forth. It's a little bit deeper than that, but that's essentially the foundation. It's a back and forth, a push and pull, right? The next 4 years, Donald Trump will be gone, and I'm assuming it'll be another Democrat in there to undo a lot of the things and to swing the pendulum back in the opposite direction. But what I wanted to say was this: whoever's in that White House, whoever the White House resident is, make sure that you are finding ways and opportunities to optimize and be the best that you can be, right? This is the crypto president. This is the blockchain billionaire. So look for that silver lining, right? Look for the silver lining. And hey, you know, be just as involved as you are nationally, locally, right? Get to know your local alderman. Get to know, you know, your city council. Get to know all of these people, right? Get to know them, and you know, put that same effort and energy, that same type of, you know, burst and passion into that because you have more control over it. Trump will be out of there uh, in the next 48. So yeah, man. Black History is not just a month, it is a day, it is a thing. I saw a meme that I thought was totally, totally beautiful. It was two kids, it was a little white kid and a black kid, and on the left, the white kid said, "Hey, do you celebrate Black History Month?" And the little black boy says, "No, I don't celebrate History Month. That's for you guys. We celebrate Black History. I'm black every day. We celebrate my culture every day. We should be celebrating our culture every day outside of those contemporary figures, outside of those contemporary events, outside of those contemporary and commercial things that are celebrated. You now should be celebrating those things and seeking out those examples for your children of those builders who built something uh, autonomously and independently and solely for the black nation, because those are the people who are going to instill that type of mind frame into your children and let them know that it can be done. So I just want to say thank you guys. Again, lead with logic, the number 7.com. Please go on over there. Lead with logic, the number 7.com. Uh, go on over, take a look, check us out, see what we have hats, hoodies, and tees. We shipping them to you guys wherever you are. We get them to you. Over 75 bucks. Shipping is free. And man, I just wanted to thank you, man. I appreciate everybody coming out. I will see you guys next Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Listen, like Mr. Malcolm would always say, may we meet again in the light of understanding, peace, and love.